There we go. Move the fuzz
All
off to the
right.
side.
Hey, this is our first live stream for Rocket Van. I know we had a couple people wanting to join us. It's time to start talking about some of the great things that we've seen along the way. Um, the Tonight was kind of interesting, and we'll go into that a little bit. Um, Jack, what do you think so far about the trip?
I think it's been great. Kennedy Space Center was nice. It's a shame we didn't get to see the Falcon Heavy launch tonight, just because of, I don't know, hail seems to be a bit of a problem. But it's a shame that it didn't launch in the previous attempts. But hopefully we should be here for when it does launch. It'll be amazing to see. It's not going to come back, but I think it will still be really cool to see.
Yeah, I think that so. It's from my perspective. So now we have gone from watching Starship, which was just mind-blowingly
Cool.
cool. That's about the only thing you can say about it. Having being able to drive almost up to the rocket and see how they're working on it and stuff like that. Just from a perspective of looking at how Jack might have wanted to to visit, like to look at the engineering side of things. You can get that close up view. So one of the things that I enjoyed about going out to the star base was I got to interact with some of the workers and see how they were doing it, watch them work, which was really interesting. Look at some of the prototypes that they had out there. It was really interesting. They kept things going. And you could tell when they were ready to go to work. I think that place meant business, and that was kind of really interesting. So we left Texas after watching what I think is an extremely successful Starship launch.
Some may not see it that way, but it was beyond successful. It
Yeah,
was impressive.
yeah, it was. And there's been a lot of talk about the orbital launch mount and stuff like that. And there was some damage. I do think there was a lot of data collected that is getting overlooked. One is uh, when we launch from another planet, and I understand that the top level of Starship, Starship itself, will have about 6 engines on it. But no other time will they ever be able to test what 33 engines will do to to the environment around it. And I think they realized very quickly that if they're going to land this and put it on another planet, like the booster,
You're not
super
going to have
heavy.
a flame diverter on a different
No,
planet
no, no.
unless you bring it with you.
Yeah,
I don't think you're going to be able to do that simply and not have any damage done.
they're going to have to get some innovative solutions, so it's part of the process. And we're getting used to this. Looks like is that Pete them joined us. Hi guys. So hey, Pete and Sonia, you definitely have seen you've seen a lot of the stuff at Starbase, and we're really jealous. We wanted to see Falcon Heavy and Falcon 9 launch. So here's the schedule. What I think is going to happen. So tomorrow night we're going to see Falcon Heavy and Falcon 9 launch. This is a guess. And then Tuesday night at Cape Canaveral Space Station, there is going to be another Falcon Heavy. So today we took about 2 hours and we went to the Space Force Station Sands History Center.
Sands Space Museum.
Space Museum.
History Center. It's very vaguely titled.
It's named after General Sands, and I think his family donated a lot of stuff. But very interesting place. If you come out here, there's a couple sample articles of different pieces of rocket history. What's Pete saying there?
They're jealous.
Yeah, jealous. My friends down in Boca Chica are jealous right now. So I think it goes both ways.
Very much, especially after the big destruction.
So I know I've shared a few things with everybody, but this is one I wanted to share. So we get a lot of people that are asking, like, how do we find you and stuff like that. So Jack wanted to get some cards made, so wanted to show this is
It might be
it
backwards.
might be
No
backwards.
guarantees.
It's not backwards in real life, but this is a picture of one of the spacesuits that I took at Kennedy yesterday. So, or not yesterday, day before yesterday, and it's this is our these are our rocket van cards. So if you get them, that we can be able to show people how to get in contact with us. And one of the other things we did today, and let me get my phone up because I'd like to show y'all. This is actually something that I think will help us in the long term get new subscribers. So what we did was we got that added to the van today. So so people can see some of the how the van is set up as as it's that it is a rocket van. So it's a nice cutout magnet. A company called Lickety Split Signs in Merritt Island did it for us. Did a great job. Just really phenomenal. Did a quick turnaround on it.
Very
Um,
good customer service.
yeah, so I'm gonna let Jack run the chat because he's got better eyes than me. I'm
The Utes in their eyes.
the Utes in their eyes, and
We will definitely send y'all several cards and lots of photos.
yeah,
So,
lots of photos. So we want to get some stickers made for the rocket van. I will say that so going back to Starbase and I guess Pete and Sonia are on here and that we met them at Starbase. So this is a friendship that we made based on a common interest in rockets, right? Like, so going out there and seeing what they're doing. Now they live out in that area, and I think they have a real positive feeling about how SpaceX has impacted their community. I think it's brought jobs, it's brought opportunity, and I really see that area growing. So when you come out here near Kennedy, it's the exact opposite of where when you go to Boca Chica and stuff like that.
it's a very nice area here, and it's nice there, but it's got a bit more population. I would say it's densely packed here.
More industry. So, one of the things that we've seen as where we traveled around the different areas on the thing is you can see SpaceX is investing in the community. So far, when we saw Starbase, right? So we saw all the investment they made out there. So when we got here, we we went to um, see where they had the what was the name of the gravitas
Oh,
the drone ship.
welcome in Gravitas.
Yeah,
It was something.
we saw it
Let me
at
see.
Port Canaveral. So somebody had told us they had seen the Falcon 9 charred right on the barge, and uh, we went out to see it, and it had already been removed. But we did see the drone ship out there. We also saw the Shannon and one other on. I think these are the boats that they used to try to catch the fairings with, but now they probably just go pick up the fairings.
The
Um,
boat is a shortfall of Gravitas. That's the drone ship. That's their new, I think, all electric drone ship.
yeah, so we went by a restaurant called Fish Lips,
Fish lips.
and you can see right from Fish Lips, you can see the drone ship. So had it had the Falcon 9 on it still,
You
so I
would have
think
been able to see it
yeah, so I
very,
think
very
SpaceX
clearly.
SpaceX has um, they have an office there. So obviously they're unloading the Falcon 9s. So Jack and I were about a few years ago. I think we were coming across the Mississippi Louisiana border, and there was a Falcon 9 waiting to
Being
cross the
trucked.
border. Yeah, it was on the truck. So I don't know if they're still sending those over to Hawthorne to be reworked, but that would be an interesting thing to look at. So we saw the boats. The boats are near a different SpaceX office, and they have the port where the Falcon 9s are. So when we were in Kennedy yesterday, or was it yesterday? Our days are blurring together. But when we were on Kennedy, we saw when you see Mechazilla, it's built to little stacks and it keeps stacking up till you get to the proper height. There is SpaceX is usually a black and like white
Very
kind of
stark.
stark uh, color palette that they use for all their buildings and everything like that. And I saw the building out there, and then I was like, man, that looks like Mechazilla pieces. And so we asked the bus driver. She said, yeah, it's called Hangar X. So out at Kennedy, and that's where they're going to build it. And so I was talking to one of the guys at the Sands Museum. He said, right behind it, they're actually going to start building. They're going to build a mega bay or something right behind there to start assembling some of these at Kennedy as well. So it's things are moving for SpaceX in this area. So we also saw Blue Origin. So Blue Origin is at the front of Kennedy. So we sent them an email saying, "Hey, we'd love to see how you guys are, what your ideas are for space and rockets, and
I
try to."
think I think it'd be really cool to go get a tour over there. Just know how everything is done there. I think it would be absolutely fascinating to see how they just manufacture spacecraft, because that's more of a well, it's is privatized, but it's I'd imagine they'd let you get a lot closer to it than NASA would if you were given a press pass of any sort, or not sort, but
I think,
some type of pass. I
yeah,
mean,
I think you get spoiled when you go to Starbase. Yeah, it's really hard to top that. We've so we've gone now. We've gone to Kennedy, and we've got a lot of content. I want to see if I can get, and I'll let Jack tell you a little bit about his thoughts on seeing the Saturn V at Kennedy. I know that that's a big rocket.
so the Saturn V at Kennedy, it's a very nice room. They have a really nice presentation and exhibit inside. It's inside like a vault type thing, and it's got a bunch of spacesuits, and it's got, what was it, the Apollo 14 capsule.
Yeah, Apollo 14 Kitty Hawk
The
is
Kitty
there.
Hawk was there. They have several moon rocks there, but they have like all the prototype suits that were sent out for manufacture, to be manufactured for a contract.
That there is the business end of a rocket.
But yeah, it was a really cool exhibit. The lighting was a bit weird, like everything was colored, but it just made photos a little bit more difficult, and I feel like that might have been an intention with it, just because it's something that you can find elsewhere. But
So this was one of my favorite things to see at Kennedy. This was set up for like how the families watch the going to the moon on the Apollo program. It is an orange shag carpet with a bright green couch. It is really cool looking.
it's a very
Um,
nice couch. It's very soft.
so we saw that, but there is something that I don't think I'd ever seen before that is really different, and I want to show you all this picture of if I can find the spacesuit for oh,
What the
they did have this too. This was this was the pic one of the flags that went to the moon. This one didn't go to the moon, obviously, but it is the same flag with the pole and everything and the wires to keep it out right.
We need
They
to
had that
figure out
there.
how to be able to share these photos via the stream,
Yeah, that,
uh, just
that
because it makes it a little bit easier and more
so this is
uh,
gonna be I'm gonna need to find
better
this.
quality for the photos.
Yeah, I want to find this spacesuit because I really want to show you this spacesuit. We also went to the Heroes Walk, and that was kind of good. They did a real nice job. So Apollo 1, those are the astronauts that lost their lives on the tower, and they did a real nice tribute to them on the back of the Saturn V building.
They did a nice little thing where they had some personal belongings and storage to those personal belongings. The one thing I did not like about that little exhibit, it was very nice. It was very well done, but they put screens so you couldn't see the artifacts. I don't want to call it artifacts because it's not that old, but of their personal possessions. So like for half the time that you could see it, it was something else in front of it, and that is one little thing that I didn't like. Like one side should have been open, but
Yeah,
that's small, minute detail, but
yeah, it
still
was
very
neat.
nice.
It was neat how they did that, but I agree. I kind of felt like I was trying to rush to view it, but I wanted to show you this. This was a spacesuit I don't think I've ever seen. Let's see if we can get it to play.
Is this the
Uh,
Tin Man?
yeah, so this was kind of a crazy spacesuit that we saw there. This is for extravehicular activity. I'm not sure if it's for jousting, but
I don't think it really matters. I think it might be for moon jousting.
yeah, it was really interesting. So, what we were amazed with was how many people are Eagle Scouts and how many people were in the Scout program. So, Jackson Eagle Scout, for those of you that don't know. And so, matter of fact, Maggie's an Eagle Scout too. So, they definitely have enjoyed that program. But when you see how many, it was a lot of astronauts that became
Like
Scouts.
40 something now. No, it was like 30 something. There's a really good website about it. You can find it. I don't know what it was. It was like IEEE. Um, but they had a really good list of like all the scouts and astronauts who were in a scouting program of some sort.
Yeah, and I think one of the most famous ones is going to be Neil Armstrong. The Eagle Scout.
Neil Armstrong and Jim Lovell are going to be the number ones.
So you always wonder when they say, so when Apollo 11 was called the Eagle, the ship was, and when they said the Eagle has landed, were they talking about the Eagle Scout or the Eagle ship or
All of the
all
above.
of the above? So it's kind of an interesting story. Well, we're working on getting a lot of content, so we made a lot of new connections, a lot of good people out there that are really interested in rockets, and we met a new friend, Bart, at the
Bart
Saturn building.
Martindale.
Yeah, very nice. The from Ohio, yeah. So that's I don't.
I didn't know he was from Ohio.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Wow.
he was an Eagle Scout. The Scouts make I guess if you get
Scouts
somebody
make a
on the
lasting
moon,
impression.
yeah. But so we saw, like, I would say at least 5 or 6 scouts. People who were in the scouting program. We saw at least 5 or 6 of them that that donated some of their scouting stuff. It's obviously was important to them. Now that program there was on the this was kind of moving too. This was so we went to the Atlantis building. And if you hadn't been to the Atlantis building, you have to like sit through a couple. I don't want to ruin it for anybody who comes because
It's a very good experience for those who are just being introduced to it. But there's also, if you don't want to go through that, there's a back door. You go through the gift shop
yeah,
because that's what they do now. And as the tour guide on one of the buses specifically said, they took a hint from Disney. They put the gift shop at the exit.
yeah, definitely gift shop. I looked at a NASA worm hat. It was $40 for a NASA worm hat from Aggie, but she did get a SpaceX shirt today, so she was pretty jazzed about that. And this one's got a model picked out that he wants over at the Sands Museum.
Mercury.
Yeah. So when we were in the shuttle, so we lost, as everybody knows, we lost 2 shuttles, Columbia and Challenger. And so they did a tribute in there, like a little memorial for those astronauts. So there's a walkway and all the astronauts in the shuttle program, just like they did. I told you about the Saturn V, how they recognized those astronauts. So then they went and they had. This is very kind of moving because when I was a kid, I watched the Challenger blow up on a 20-inch TV, and it was something far away and distant. And then you get there and there's a quarter panel uh, of the Challenger sitting there on the display.
Still somewhat caked with mud.
Yeah. And you turn to the right and there's the windows of Columbia and they're just rusty and burnt. There's no window left to it. It's just the frames. And it very quickly, this is probably
that's the best exhibit there.
In the way that they wanted to make you feel in that exhibit, they achieved their goal perfectly, because when you go there, you realize that a lot of these astronauts have been pioneers and put everything on the line to further space flight. So, it didn't come for free. It didn't come for free. Matter of fact, the country put so much behind the Apollo program. It was unbelievable the amount of effort that went into it. So I imagine in the late 60s, maybe early 70s, if you talked about a Saturn V rocket,
Everybody knew what you were talking about.
everyone. And
Everybody put some sort of donation to it. They wanted it to happen.
yeah, and right now, I find when I go talk to people about Starship, because I'm pretty jazzed about it, so like I'm ready to talk about rockets just about any any time, especially when you see one that goes up uh, and in my opinion was blowing up as it was climbing. When you see that, that's all I want to talk about. Like I wanted, hey, did you see this? Did you see this? And a lot of people don't even know about it. They haven't ever heard of it. So I mean, I think at that time the country was much more invested um, in into the travel to the moon um, than we are today. Now, I'm not saying that there's not a lot of people who are there, because I met them
There's a
at,
lot of
at
people.
Starbase. I mean, it was funny how many great people we met, how many people we're still staying in touch with, that the interest we had, they came from all over the world to see a rocket launch. And they came from around the world because they see something in an opportunity to maybe change things and have that kind of experience. So I really credit SpaceX for pushing the boundaries. And I also think that that orbital launch tower and all the concrete and everything
That was
that's going on.
intentional.
I don't know if it was just intentional, but the amount of data they collected from it is going to be worth it, because they will now understand what happens when the Raptors get loose. And that was from my buddy Pete. When those Raptors get loose, man, it is insane. And I do
They
think,
throw concrete
yeah,
very far.
very far. So I do think thinking about how, SpaceX is going to move forward, in my opinion, they're going to get this problem solved. They're going to build a flame trench. They're going to do all the things that they
Temporary
need to do.
problem.
This is a temporary setback. These people are smart. They know what they're doing. They're engineers. They're iterative.
Very capable.
They learned so much on this launch. And if anybody's questioning on it, go watch our video on the launch. And it's not long, because I had to hide my inner cheerleader, because I shouldn't go to rocket launches publicly.
No.
But there is, as you see it, I say aloha, because that's hello, goodbye, or goodbye, hello, for the rocket. And you can see the rocket is blowing through an engine is kind of almost blowing through the side of the rocket at that point. And we're talking maybe 16 seconds into the flight. And so when that rocket is blowing up, it's still going. That rocket is so superbly engineered that even with the massive amount of damage that it probably received from concrete on the pad, that it still was climbing, still going. And this is their prototype. I think had it not gotten hit by concrete, that thing would have gone to orbit. It would have been aloha. Hawaii would have had it would have said hello at a very high rate of speed. Um, and it would have been really good. But I do think so much was learned on it from SpaceX, that you're going to see the next things move further and faster. They mean business, and so when we went to the Sands Museum, this is kind of cool. So we're
Hold
talking
on.
about,
I just want to say hello to those of you in chat. It was very nice meeting you. Okay, you can continue.
yeah. So the so when we went to the Sands Museum, because I want to see it. There's also another museum. What is it?
The
American Space.
Titusville American Space Museum.
Yeah. So we want to go there, but we won't. So this morning we went to the Sands Museum. Well, last night I went out there, and I'm kind of a little nervous, because you're driving out by a Space Force base,
Very
and
poor signage.
and not just that, you're driving to a highly secure area. I don't want any kind of trouble whatsoever. Like I just want to stay exactly where it is. So we pull into the parking lot, and there's a rocket, and I think it was called a Navajo rocket that's in the parking lot. And there's a building, and we finally get in. Well, there's the SpaceX launch control building there. So I was like, yeah, SpaceX is in this community. This is where it is, next to the Space Force Station. It was really interesting. Where I was actually going when I first started talking about the Starship with the launch, the one thing that everybody's talking about, well, what if it had blown up? I'm not a rocket scientist, but I do know rockets are intended to send the propellant out of the end as fast as it possibly can go because it increases the force, upward force
Faster.
against the rocket, so faster. I think had the rocket actually blown up, it
We
would
would have
have
had some big problems.
it would have been a mess, but I don't think it had been as big of a mess as it was when you basically point the pointy end down. I think you actually ended up with a lot more damage than if it had actually blown up. I would love to hear. I know we met a lot of people who are rocket scientists out there. Just some amazing engineers we talked to, and anybody who wants to help us with this, because we are not rocket scientists, although we do talk rockets on quite an occasion. Matter of fact, a few of the people have gone, "Wow, yeah,
You know a lot about this.
yeah, like yeah, we've been doing this for a little while. So this is our first live stream. Any comments that y'all think we should do different or whatever, they would be greatly appreciated. But I want to show. I'll let Jack tell you a little bit about some of the stuff he saw at Kennedy. That was pretty cool in the museum. Tell him what you saw, and I want to try to show him something.
One of the really cool things that they had at Kennedy, it was in the Atlantis building. It was one of the It wasn't the Astrovan because Astrovan was in the Apollo building, but it was one of the buses that they used to transport the astronauts. It was an Airstream, and it was like insanely high off the ground. But the lighting was really dim, so I couldn't get a good Polaroid of it. Otherwise, I would show you. But it was really cool. I think they did it well. Another right next to that is the shuttle, obviously. But it's just insane that that little bus made that big shuttle happen.
Yeah, so I wanted to show you. So Rocket Van didn't just start. Like this wasn't like a.
Oh, why am I not wearing sunglasses in that picture?
If you can see this little guy here,
I'm not
he,
wearing
he was a little
sunglasses.
smaller. So this was at Mishu, um, and this is a national treasure. So this rocket is currently at Stennis.
Let's see if I can
This
find a
is
picture of that.
so I've got one here. So this rocket currently is at Stennis, but if you look in the background, right over Jack's shoulder, that's razor wire. It was behind razor wire in New Orleans East at Mishu where it was built, which is good. It's just nobody was seeing it. So they ended up moving it to Stennis. And if you ever see a rocket van, that looks like a pretty good rocket
And
van.
this is before they redid it. They repainted it and reconditioned it.
So that's one.
This is
And
not it. You got to put it down just a little bit. Back it up and put it down.
okay.
Okay, so that's at the Udvar Hazy Museum, I think, right?
Yeah, in
It's either
the
that or the
Smithsonian Air
National
and Space. Yeah, in Virginia.
It's very, very well done there.
So I think this is
2015.
Endeavor or
That was not Endeavor. That was Discovery.
Discovery, I think. So this one, from what I understand, the Air and Space Museum was talking to NASA because they got this shuttle. And when they wanted to get the shuttle, NASA said, "Okay, we'll put it back in pristine condition for you, and we'll ship
How
it
it
to you."
should be.
And the Smithsonian said, "Oh no, take the engines out, whatever you got to do, don't touch it. We want it just like it did when it came back from orbit." So when you see this one, it looks like a Falcon 9. And that was another thing we saw at Kennedy in that building Gateway to Space.
Gateway, something. They named their buildings very oddly.
Two things in there. A Falcon 9, and it's crusty. It's charred. It's done its work.
This was one of the Falcon 9s they used for Falcon Heavy. It's one of the side boosters that are
Yeah.
very round.
So it's charred.
And then to go with that, you have the Dragon capsule. I think it was one of the first Dragon capsules that were used to resupply the ISS, which will be shown very shortly.
Yeah, that's the Dragon crew that's there. So that's really cool. And I was really fascinated with, because I know originally, and let's see if I can show you this. So originally, this was designed with the Draco thrusters, which I think are here toward the bottom of the setup. Let's see if I can get this to play. Um,
Definitely need to figure out how we can do this better.
so that stripe that goes at an angle is where the parachute came out.
That's
So
the
there's one on
parachute
each
guide.
side. That was really cool. I really like seeing that. But let me see if I can show you the Falcon 9 in its glory. this
The business end of the rocket.
the business end of the rocket. Of course, I want to make sure you can see this. So let's.
It's very big. Not as big as Starship, like nowhere near as big as Starship.
But it's hanging over the top. So when you walk up, you can go to the second floor and get right by its nose. Let me see if I got on this phone. If I got the really cool piece that I've never really seen up close.
The grid fins.
Yeah. So let's see if we can play this for you. So we're going to be doing a lot of content, but this is kind of a sneak peek since you're here in live, you'll be able to see some of the video we're going to be working with. These are the grid fins. So they, like, what does that look like? Like, so when you get up close to it, it's really cool looking. It almost looks like that metal you walk on, like for stairs or whatever to let the water through.
The grates, like the big. It's very odd when you're right next to it. You're like, wow, this thing is huge.
Yeah, yeah. Foot
peg
pegs for a giant. Yeah. So Starship, uh, the first stage of Starship has them at the top as well. Not Starship, the
Super heavy.
Super Heavy.
So those were originally designed to fold in, but they saved weight. And one of the things that they did, one of the realizations that they came to was that you don't need to put them back in. You don't need to fold them as long as you're going relatively straight as long as possible up until you get to thinner air where aerodynamics has less of an effect on the ship. So it gets a bit into math, not a bit, a lot into math there. Too much to go into.
I like math. Math is
a sport.
Math is good. So hey, what does everybody think about me buying one of these?
We have a new mascot.
So we can have a new mascot for our thing. I think Amanda is going to be our rocket mascot. What do y'all think? If you think that's a good idea, put it in the comments. Let us know. This is down arrows. This is
yes, I agree.
Yes. This is I think this is a good idea because she puts up with it all and nothing would make her feel more at home than being in a rocket. So this is the side of the van for anybody. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but this is what we got put on the van today. Real excited about that. That's excellent to get that done.
I think we definitely should add lights, but you got to get a little orange skirt to go with it and some propelled air to make it look like it's flying.
So this is our new cards. Like I said, we got a use.
Maybe backwards or not.
It's probably backwards, but these are the cards that we've got done. But I want to get some stickers and tell me if y'all would like to get one of these stickers because that would I think if we can get some of these stickers made, these would be really good. Especially if they kind of look something like that. Would y'all want one?
Good. Okay. So at least one person wants them.
Yeah. So we're gonna work on getting some stickers done. So I don't know if you noticed, but I spend a lot of time with my family, and it's just been great. We've had an awesome time to try to go and see this. We saved up a lot of time to go it, but it's been quite the trip. So on our way, so this weekend we are staying in the Florida Keys. So we're going to Bahia Honda. So we got
howdy.
Hey, brother Bourgeois. we've got a place at Bahia Honda for the weekend, and so we're going to stay down there, and hopefully we'll come back on Tuesday. And you want one, Pete? I got one for you. So we'll get you a Rocket Van card. But if we can go down to Bahia Honda, so Jack's been down to the Keys, but I don't know that he really remembers it. So I want to take him down there. We lived for about 2 months in Marathon, Florida, which I don't know if you're familiar with the Keys, but when you go down there, you get on the overseas highway, and Marathon is the dead center of that highway between Key West and Hollywood. I think it's Hollywood, Florida.
I think it is Hollywood.
Yeah. So when you get out there, you're right by Marathon. So you go across, and then I think it's the 7 Mile Bridge, and then you come across Bahia Honda, which is the state park. And if you probably have seen the Flagler Railroad Bridge goes across it, and it's chopped in half. So because that was part of what they did to keep people from going out on it.
Let's see if this can show. But you have the very end of Florida. Then as you go in, it just has a really long highway. It goes all the way to the end, and at the very end, you have Key West.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a trip. And Marathon's right in the middle right there.
Sure. Come on, Billy. The more the merrier. We booked a spot today, so I don't know if any of you have been to the Keys going camping before. It's really hard to get spaces. It's like just really tricky, even if you're camping. And we're going to be staying in the Rocket Van. So today I was waiting for this sign, and one of the things that's been really nice is I've been able to keep my work going. I just hadn't missed a beat. Just like sometimes I wake up really early and knock all my work out, so that like this morning I got up at 4 and I worked, went through all my meetings, and then that's when we went to the museum, because it makes it easier, because trying to get to the museum off hours is kind of a little bit difficult, and it's really nice. Well, look, the van is small.
It's got 5 seats. It's not very big.
But I did tell you I have Eagle Scouts, 2 of them, and I have a tent underneath the site, and I think my spot allows 2 tents and 1 van, maybe a truck. So if you feel like driving for 18 hours, you could probably do it.
Yes.
So
you can fit right next to the rocket.
So the other thing we're trying to order, and I was showing you. So this is Amanda's new uniform for work. See, that's Amanda in there. You can't really see the face because I'm moving too much. But if you get if I get one, I want to get about a 15-foot tall. You know those dancers that are the wind dancers that are they bend over.
Find it used car
dealerships. I want a rocket like that, and I want to put it on top of. We stopped to go watch a rocket launch, just
so people know it's us.
So they know it's the Rocket Van.
No, tent people are a specific breed. Yes. Tacos.
Yes.
Lots of them.
I'm gonna tell you, the gas station tacos near Boca Laredo Taco are better than almost all of the tacos. Save one place near our house. I think Laredo Taco might have, and that's gas station tacos.
That's not the good tacos.
That's not even. We're not even.
I mean, they're good.
Oh, they're great.
They're amazing, but those aren't the highest tacos.
So, and Jack figured out something too on the trip. He figured out Stripes gas stations are 7-Elevens, which he wants to take his own cup, and I don't know why this is important.
Bring your own cup day. You can fill your own, however big. I think it is 10 inches. You can bring your own cup, and you can fill it up with as much icy as you want for $1.
Yeah.
Just it's on the bucket list for some reason.
So so he's got that. He's got plans on stripes again. I will tell you, we on the day we were leaving, if I didn't share the story with you, we were going to Walmart. We were going back to Starbase just to see what we could see, and we left the Walmart parking lot and got on the road to like head toward Boca Chica. Um,
It's
and
very eco-friendly,
as
especially when you bring your own huge cup.
the brakes in the van were doing like this, and I was like, "Oh, that's not good." And so we hit it on the road. They kind of stopped for a second, and we get going down the highway through Port Isabel, and then the brakes lock up, like as I'm driving, and I wasn't touching them. And then all of a sudden, every light on the dash goes, "Doo." And so we went to Hildebrand. Let me say that
Harlingen.
Harlingen, the Mercedes dealership there. Xavier, if you're watching, buddy, thank you. He took care of our family. We sat around and they took care of it. They didn't have the part. They drove 45 minutes to another Mercedes dealership to go get the part so that they could fix our car so we could go. That kind of customer service does not get forgotten or overlooked. I mean, that if you if you're ever down there, or if
If you
somebody's
need a
later
Mercedes
watching,
Benz,
that kind of customer service done in a world of where everybody's like, I went to a Burger King today, um, needed to go to the restroom. Don't understand why restrooms are locked in a fast food restaurant, but they were. And after about 5 minutes of standing at the counter, we just left. I looked at the guy and I'm like, dude, four of us are walking out.
yes, South Texas hospitality and the entire time we were down there. And then you get to Houston and it's a little different because it's a big city. But everybody was just so nice and hospitable and, just kind.
Yeah, that South Texas area, I tell you what, I loved it. It reminds me so much, and Billy lives out. Pete lives near Boca Chica, and Billy lives near me in Mississippi. And I will tell you, if you go out, if either of you ever end up in those areas, you'll find it very similar to where you live. Now it was weird being so close to the Mexican border, going through the border stops, because there's checkpoints all along that we don't see. Yeah,
Yeah,
Louisiana, definitely, especially when you get out of not
out of New Orleans
skip
and
New
get to the
Orleans
bayou
and
towns.
get into the bayou towns. So our little house down there in the bayou is just, I mean, it's great people. Just really nice.
Their sense of humor is a lot different, but it's very funny.
So we got a picture, and I'll have to share this. That we were at the house one day, and this guy comes fishing in a boat about that big, and he's on his knees, and he's got like a little outboard engine. He's like, his head sticking up.
Very small. I think it was the same size as a child's wagon.
it was good, but he was out there fishing. And look, if you're, I like to fish, and so I was pretty happy with it. Well, we've been talking for 43 minutes. Are we taking this too long? Can I get some feedback from y'all? Is this interesting?
It's been 45 minutes. What time is it? It's 10 o'clock. So,
yeah, let's see if we get some feedback from everybody and see what they think. Do y'all like this kind of stuff? Because we've got so much to talk about.
and if you would like us to continue talking, do you have anything you would like us to talk about and give our opinion on? Not that our opinions are extremely.
Do we want to do a poll? Because I think we can get enough. We can get enough voting to get Amanda to wear this for the next launch.
The community.
Yeah, we should ask the community, because what do y'all think?
Okay, so we got two
votes so far.
2 votes. It looks like we
At least
might have a rocket mascot.
I'm voting yes, so that's 3. Jack,
4.
Jack's 4. If I give Maggie a candy bar, we can get her vote. So
Good
can
old
lobby.
politics,
So-
buying people's votes.
Yeah, good old politics, buying votes. There's definitely a lot of stuff we want to cover, and a little shout out to to Maggie. She got to take a picture with an astronaut. She's so sweet. She has come along for the ride and been a great partner in having her moments.
She's a trooper.
She's a trooper. She's not space is not really her jam, but she has been.
She enjoys football and is currently watching the draft.
So we did get some pictures of this. Was kind of cool. And let's see, where's it at? That's Jack and I. We were in. This was the for the flight of Gemini. I believe this was the background that was in the command center whenever they.
That was the official NASA logo that they used on front of the command center building.
I think this was Alan Shepard's suit. And so, as you can see, we've spent a lot of time.
But what's funny is the Alan Shepard suit. It was like not in the area you'd expect it to be, and I think this was.
These are the three guys.
Oh, that's Apollo 1.
That's Gus Grissom,
Chaffee.
Ed White, and Chaffee. So.
Robert Chaffee.
Yeah. So if you don't know the story of Apollo 1, these three guys died on the launch tower. They died in a fire. And there's a lot that goes into about the oxygen-rich environment and stuff like that. And safety. But if you look at their death, I think it was Gene Crane's or whatever. There was
he was the head of the NASA mission control.
Yeah, they said that they were going to have a stop for 18 months because they lost three.
I think it was Gene Crane's. It was either him or the head of NASA, whoever it was at the time.
They lost 3 friends that day because, I mean, this is a tight-knit community. They lost 3 friends that day. We lost 3 Americans that day. And I think the reason why we went to the moon was these 3 men. And, and what the sacrifice, unfortunately, that they made.
Yes, Gene is the vest guy. His wife sewed him or crocheted. Can't remember which one it was, but she made him a vest for every Apollo mission that he was on, and I think some space shuttle missions afterwards. He wore a lot of vests.
So I think that was all the pictures that I had that I wanted to show. I got a lot more on the camera, and so Jack and I are going to try to get as much content as we can. If you have any ideas, I will give you a little preview. We are looking at a story about sewing in space. Very interesting.
A lot of different people in it, but the documentation isn't what you'd expect it to be coming from NASA. Yep. It's just very one document.
And since I have a 15-year-old boy,
lots of free time.
One of his stories that he wants to do, he wants to cover how people poop in space.
It's a very good story.
Not
many people know how it's done.
So there's a lever on the toilet. So we got good pictures of it. It looks like an ejection seat. Like you strap your feet in. It's is that a poop emoji?
I believe it is.
Oh, yeah. So there's probably a little bit of art to using the bathroom in space. Now, from what I understand, when they did the Dragon orbit, that was a challenge.
It was more like a public area, public restroom, just without a door.
Yeah. So, I mean, when nature calls, but spacecraft are not very large. So if
you got to be close with whoever's in there with you.
Yeah, you're sharing.
You're sharing every moment of your life for several weeks.
Yeah, at least in the shuttle and the space station, there were curtains and stuff. And I, there wasn't a whole lot of documentation from SpaceX on how that is. But it's early in them trying to get that stuff right. Astronauts, I think, train a little bit differently than like some of the commercial crew that are going out there. I'm not discounting the training they're doing, but maybe they aren't as connected in stuff like that. So there is some humanity that has to fly in these spacecraft. So I think it is an interesting topic. Would y'all like to hear about pooping in space.
Just the restroom in space. One thing I did find interesting though is that right next to the space toilet, they put the space oven. So you had the restroom, the toilet, right next to the oven. I'm not sure why they would put it there, but they did.
Yeah, you like so the story with the Ray-Ban. So my son wants to be an engineer. The engineers need to learn math. And engineers don't get B's, they get A's. And A's means you get a Ray-Ban. So this young man took his first college algebra class at 14.
Hopefully, you should only have to take one college
Yeah.
algebra class, but
And I told him if he gets an A, he gets a pair of Ray-Bans. So he got an A.
took
I think he
lots of work.
got the highest grade in the class, and everyone was mad at him for messing up the curve. Yes, they did that, and so I went, and we went. Well, I went to order, and I didn't have my credit card, so I waited a day, and the next morning I go there, and they're buy one get one free. So that's
Yes, it might be slightly blinding.
so. Hey, well, we've
Taken up an hour of time.
we've taken up an hour of everybody's time. We're gonna try if y'all are enjoying this. We really enjoy talking about space, and it's kind of nice with this YouTube live stuff and this channel. Is if you want to hear about it, like
Just simple couple clicks, and then you can talk to several and so many people about it. It's just
yeah,
amazing.
I really want to tell the story too of the Gulf Coast because the Gulf Coast has been very instrumental. So you think you got Houston, well now you got Boca Chica, which so you got Boca Chica is now there. You got Houston Space Center. You got Michoud in New Orleans.
Michoud and Stennis.
Stennis, which was called the Mississippi Test Site. That's near where we live. Then you have Huntsville. Then you have Kennedy, and other little bases around. So when we went to the Sands Museum, so I think he said there were something like 100 or whatever rocket launches from Kennedy, and then they started talking about Cape Canaveral Air Force Station.
There was 3,000.
3,000.
That was all like testing and whatnot. Just the Air Force had a lot to do with the Air Force and the military had a lot to do with us landing on the moon. I think it's just a great involvement of what we could do then.
Yeah, so we'll continue to try to do it, and yeah, maybe a weekly show. I want to get some stickers out so that we can get all the people who are supporting us in it, and we'd really like to. I'm trying to email these rocket companies to see if we can get interviews with them and go get some behind the scenes footage and stuff like that. We did meet some great rocket scientists out there who've kind of volunteered, maybe asked volunteered to help fact check us on some of the, orbital mechanics and the things that you might have to talk about with rocket things. And I'll finish up this story. Well, so Jack took, Jack's homeschooled, Maggie's homeschooled. We kind of did a process, what's called unschooling, where you kind of just let the kids do what they want and let them find their interest. Math isn't not an option. It's definitely math and reading. Those are your
main common
core. So that's your two subjects.
Science,
you don't
English, reading.
Yeah, you kind of don't have it. So Jack was interested in aerospace engineering. So there's this great program online called EDX. And you got like Harvard and MIT and Columbia and all these Stanford, all these schools that participate in there and let you get a lot of their curriculum for free. You don't get college credit for it, but remember, the world's not about college credit. It's about what it's about what you learn. It's about what you can use to solve your next problem. That's what it's about. So Jack signed up for aerospace engineering one day. And he said, I don't want to take this. And I said, well, the math is going to be kind of hard. He goes, yeah, I know. I said, well, I'll tell you what, don't worry about the math. You haven't done calculus yet. You're not going to understand some of that. but you can understand enough of it to get through the whole class, except for some of the equations or some of the calculations. So Jack,
This taught me about the ID rocket equation. Apparently, it's the bee's knees.
the bee's knees. Why?
I don't know.
The bee's knees.
It just is.
So, so he's taking this class, and I think actually was an Eagle Scout was your professor.
Jeffrey Hoffman.
Yeah, so that was his professor, was the Eagle Scout and shuttle astronaut. But then he's got another one that he's looking at, and he's like, "Dad, look, it's a space station cupola. Look at this guy." And then
he's a photographer.
His name's Don Pettit, I think is how you say it.
It's Don Pettit.
It was Pettit or something like that. So I said, "Oh, Jack, that's really cool." I said,
"He looks familiar."
I said, "Jack, would you like to see a picture of you and him together?" He goes, "Dad, I don't want to see any Photoshop. Yeah, don't Photoshop." I said, "No, Jack, I'll go get you a picture of you and him together." He goes, "No, you're not." I said, "Yeah, hold on one second." So I went out and I pulled up my photos, did a little bit of searching. And there's a picture of Jack and Maggie standing with that astronaut at Stennis for an RS-25 rocket engine test. Like I said, we haven't just been chasing rockets this week. We've been doing it for a long time. And there's also a great picture, and I'll try to bring it for our next live, is Jack and Maggie are standing at Stennis with the 747 flying about like this with the space shuttle on the back of it flying over for its last flight at Buzz Stennis. And we got a great picture there. That's something we'll never get again because the shuttles are not going to fly again. So that's it. Well, we are right coming up on an hour. Any further words from anybody who stuck out this long? Final questions? Well, as always, if you want to talk, comment on YouTube because it helps us. Lots of thumbs up, even on the live streams. Make sure you thumbs up and
go check out our video about the cruise ship. It was very big.
Yeah,
ginormous. Good little video.
Yeah, because tonight we got hail and we got cruise ships and 2 tornado warnings. I think one of them was a tornado warning and the other one was an extreme tornado warning. I'm not sure what the difference was, but
one was extreme, one was not. Obviously.
Fair enough. So, well, thank y'all very much for joining us. And Roger.
Over and out.